When it was announced that Crunchyroll would be teaming up with a renowned publisher on manhwa and webcomics, Webtoon, I, like many fans of Webtoon, were thrusting their fists into the air. Finally, this amazing app where you can read amazing comics like Bastard, Sweet Home, I Love You, A Girl Downstairs, Third Shift Society, and the holy grail of Webtoon's Unordinary, well, we could possibly maybe be seeing an anime adaptation the likes of which could have possibly never been seen before. So eventually the time had come, and it's time to see what Webtoons were showing, what they were adapting. Well, this is what we got. Tower of God, a long-running shonen-like series popular for its story and slower-paced but intriguing plot. The God of High School, a shonen-like series. Another one? And Noblesse, another shonen-like series. What the hell? Quickly, Webtoon anime adaptations literally became a joke on my podcasts, videos, and even in my Discord server for how samey and how bad they were. But how did this happen? Well, I aim to get to the bottom of just why in this video, so before we begin, let the algorithm know this video exists by giving this video a like, commenting, and subscribing and ringing the bell so that this gives the video more of a chance to be seen and helps my community grow and my channel grow. Let's get into this. This is why Webtoons cross Crunchyroll is a total and utter joke. So first off, immediately, they picked the wrong animes to adapt. Listen, I get it. Shonen series appeal to the vast majority, and I'm sure they were thinking they can make a quick buck and appeal to a wider audience if they just made a series that appeals to meatheads. And honestly, would you not want to cast the widest net available if you were a businessman or woman? If you have series like these on tap, it makes the most sense. But in reality, Tower of God, The God of High School, and Noblesse are simply three series that were the worst choices to adapt first. Besides the Tower of God, which I think could stay in the lineup, I think limiting all three series to be just shonen-like, watered-down experiences that we've had for decades in anime severely handicaps any chance Webtoon anime have of being successful. The reason for that is quite simple. Webtoons are not manga. They cannot compete with series like Boruto, One Piece, and Demon Slayer. These series are too popular and well-known and will outshine them with ease. Not that it's a competition per se, but people will make those comparisons. And the point really of what I'm saying is that this partnership should have played to the strengths of Webtoons rather than do the most generic thing possible by adapting series that are trying to be like shonen. Maybe 10 years ago, these adaptations could have worked, but I felt Crunchyroll and Webtoons made Webtoons itself look worse as a whole after this failure of a collaboration creatively. Accentuate the strengths, hide the weaknesses. By not playing to Webtoon's strengths, they essentially, well, made the app and site to casuals look like a site for shonen fans. Which in reality, Webtoon's strength doesn't have anything to do with these watered-down shonen-like series. When I list off these anime, keep in mind they are some of the most popular series on the site, and they're not any of them really shonen. I Love You is a romantic comic. Unordinary is an action comic. Sweet Home is a horror comic. These three series would have been a much better fit than whatever the hell we got, but as well shows off three beloved series that most people consider to be the pinnacle, or at least popular enough to represent the variety of Webtoons. And that's the thing. Tower of God, God of High School, and Noblesse just don't inspire optimism or excitement in most people. They don't get people excited because all of them are just shonen series that are watered down. And I'm not talking about their source, I'm talking about the anime adaptations themselves. Because like I said earlier, I would have been perfectly okay with Tower of God because that series seems to be interesting. It may not have the most original concept, what series in the last 100 years truly does, but even so, the Tower of God was exciting to see because we know it has a track record to back up its popularity. But the reason people lump Tower of God in with bad Webtoon anime is because of one thing: rushed adaptations. That's right. And a crossover that many people were excited for, almost all of that went down the drain when people realized every single one of these adaptations were completely rushed, butchered, and had cut or missing story elements that would make them completely useless in terms of getting to experience the story it's based off of. A big example is that Tower of God is only 12 episodes and aims to adapt almost 100 chapters of content that, in that short period of time, most series probably could never be able to pull off. This isn't a Tokyo Ghoul Re situation of adapting hundreds of chapters every couple episodes though, but man, it's close. Because of this, Tower of God cuts out important character and plot development like early on when Bam goes to knock on Rachel's door, but leaves for reasons without any explanation as to why. Well, in the original source material, it's revealed that during that scene, Bam figured it out in his head that she was Rachel, and as does anyone who has fucking eyes. But in the anime, you think Bam is a dumbass generic shonen protag because they simply just leave that important info out to you, the viewer. Why have that scene at all if you are going to cut out the reason it exists in the first place? You just made your MC look dumb, and you just made your writing staff look incompetent, at best. By the end of the Tower of God, a series which saw insane amounts of excitement for, it just petered out and was generally forgotten by the end of the season. Such a shame. But oh well, we have 2 more adaptations on the way, so the next one will be different, right? Audible sigh. The same can be said for The God of High School, but to be honest, the story doesn't look that compelling or interesting anyways. The series as well is another 12-episode adaptation that cuts content. To put this into perspective, episodes 1 to 3 is a whole bunch of fighting, no real story development, and then in episode 4, bam! There is a wedding between 2 of our characters. What? What happened? They were just fighting for 3 episodes and suddenly love sprouts? What the hell? Why are they getting married? Why do they even like each other? Oh, but you do know that Crunchyroll is so taking these shots of this cute girl in a wedding dress and using it to promote it on Twitter, which they actually did. Because you know, I'm starting to smell something in the air. Yeah, it's a familiar smell. Oh, that's the smell of money, boys. But I'll ignore that smell for now because there's no way that Webtoon and Crunchyroll would sell out their most popular series for a quick buck. No way. Nuh-uh. Nobody likes money. No one. This time, The God of High School, though, suffered a worse fate than Tower of God. It was forgotten about by episode 5 and nobody cared. Why? Well, probably because it was a really bad adaptation. That's why. But hey, what about Noblesse? I heard it got an OVA years ago, so it'll be interesting to see what Production IG can cook up in their amazing state-of-the-art kitchen by giving that OVA a full adaptation. Oh, but wait! The anime series takes place after the OVA, which adapts almost 100 chapters of the webtoon in about 30 minutes. Yeah, I don't have to tell you why literally nobody is talking about Noblesse right now, do I? Webtoons, X Button, PlayStation 5, Crunchyroll was a faithful meetup of 2 well-respected companies in their own right that turned into a dumpster fire almost immediately. Why? Because, well, it was a combination of things, really. All 3 series were shonen wannabes, they had rushed adaptations, and third, you better believe they did this to promote the app and not at all make good art that is in any way good or memorable. In other words, these 3 anime were an elaborate marketing ploy to get you to say, read the webtoon! The animes don't do it justice. You know, that whole marketing thing. And you know what? While they played us like a goddamn fiddle, we probably should be checking out webtoons because these animes sucked and were entirely forgettable. And the webtoons are better. And webtoons is awesome. So, yeah, it worked. I fell for it. But even though I fell for it, I did it of my own volition. So, joke's on you. Or me. Maybe all of us. But hey, that is what they decided to do with webtoons in the end. They didn't want you to actually be invested in this series. They wanted you to download the app for Crunchyroll and Webtoon. These adaptations were lazy and made webtoons, in my opinion, look like a joke rather than what it actually really is. Because in reality, Webtoons is a great app with plenty of worthy content to read and digest. But the issue with Crunchyroll Cross-X PlayStation 5 webtoons is that it's a cheap and transparent cash grab that nobody ever wanted to begin with. I mean, to be honest, I would have rather had a 36-episode adaptation of Tower of God than to have to watch a single episode of The God of High School or Noblesse. Who asked for these anime? I mean, who really was excited for Noblesse and goddamn God of High School? These series, to me, show these 2 companies just didn't care about quality and they were sort of out of touch. They didn't care about getting out art that made you think. They just wanted it out there to promote their app and their streaming service. That's all. And I'm sure I'll hear in the comments how good, these webtoons are, and that's fine. I agree. My point isn't to make fun of these series. I'm a massive fan of webtoons. I have my whole second channel is dedicated to webtoons. I talk about webtoons almost all the time over there on my second channel. I'm a great big fan, I promise. My point is, though, I want good adaptations of these series where there is effort put forth. So when I say nobody wants these things, nobody wants bad adaptations. I'm pretty sure. I hope. The reality is they didn't try, and we'll probably never get another webtoon adaptation again. And you know what? Good. Do not touch Unordinary. Or Sweet Home or Bastard. Stop touching stuff. But even if we do get another, I doubt that it will be anything more than another 12-episode, rushed, cut, and butchered adaptation that nobody asked for or wanted to begin with. But hey, at least we can measure a show's quality on if it's as bad as a Crunchyroll webtoon adaptation or not. That's a cool new meme. But really, we should have expected more from this partnership, and we should expect more from Webtoon and Crunchyroll in the future and let them know that we don't want these adaptations anymore. We want real adaptations of stories we love, not whatever these things were. So, thank you all for watching, coming out to my TED Talk. I appreciate it, as always. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe and ring the bell. Like this video. Comment below, what are your thoughts on Webtoon / PS5, PS4 Crunchyroll? Is it a joke or not? Do you enjoy it? I'd love to hear your thoughts, especially if you enjoyed these adaptations. I haven't heard many people that were excited about them or happy about them. So, it'd be a nice change of pace to read something positive about Webtoons for once. And, as well, I have a Patreon. You can support me there. I have a join button. You can join me, become a community member guy, and you can also support me by buying some merch. I would appreciate all that. I also have a PayPal link, so you can do the PayPal things if you don't want YouTube to take 30% of what you give me. So with that being said, thanks everybody. I appreciate it. Appreciate it all. I love you all, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.